This meeting is being recorded.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dirtbags and Pinstripes. Joined as always by David Swor. I am DJ Cox. David, it's been like 10 years and we finally got him on the show. We paid him enough money to get on here. Josh Moose Anderson, welcome to the show, buddy.
It's great to be here.
Good to have you, man. It's good to have you. It's been a long time coming, and we're excited for the show. We're excited to hear your thoughts and your story of your baseball career, one of our teammates from Tennessee Temple University back in the day. So we got a lot to get into for this episode. We're going to start with the MLB, and we're going to start with some rule changes this year, guys. Going into the 2023 season, baseball is going to look a whole lot different, David. We got a bunch of new rules here. I'm going to start with these rules, give my thoughts. We'll go around the circle. We'll all chime in on what our feelings are on each particular thing going on here with the game that Rob Manfred has trying to destroy, in my opinion. But we'll start with the first one, guys. The shift. This is the big one for me. I'll just jump right in and say I hate it. You could put any defender anywhere you want to on me. You want to stick all 7 guys on the warning track, so be it. Don't really understand why you're telling me how to play my defense, especially from the coaching perspective, and you're both coaches. I hate that part is being taken away from coaches to not be able to strategize and do all the hard work that they do to understand where somebody hits the ball and defend it the best they can. I think this is absolute garbage. David shakes his head because he likes guys like Ryan Howard who hit the ball to one side of the field and are considered great. Ryan Howard is not a good hitter, and the shift ended his career. So David's got a different opinion on this, but I think it's awful. I really think that you should have no say whatsoever in where you stick a player, as long as he's got 1 foot on the playing field. He can even have one of them off the playing field. That's still the rule. So I don't like it. Not a big fan at all. David, go ahead, take it away. Why you do like this?
Because it gives left-handed batters a disadvantage. That's why. You don't see the shift for the most part against right-handed batters. You do see it against left-handed batters. So it's gotten to the point where guys who were very good hitters, you got a short right fielder. And so where's a left-hander supposed to ever hit the ball? Josh, you were a left-hander. You can hit an absolute rod that would have been a single every time or maybe a double, and now you're out because you got a guy in short right field. So, yes, I am so happy that the shift is gone. I wouldn't have cared if they would have put some sort of caveat on that. Maybe you can do it so many times a game or whatever to keep a little bit of that strategy, but I'm happy the shift is gone. It's going to make baseball more fun again.
Moose, what do you think, buddy?
Wow. It's great to be here, guys. So I'm gonna start on 2 things, and then I'm gonna hit that one in a general way here. For one, I know we don't go into politics here, but I feel like our friend Manfred, I feel like it's kind of a mirror of what some politicians are like, right? Like they're like, things have been going well for the last 100 years, 200 years, whatever. I don't know my American history. And then, things can use tweaking, but people will come in and they're like, I've got it all up here. Like I can fix this whole thing. And they call, I don't know. I won't go too far in that. But the other one is they gotta focus on internally on their MLB here, speaking on their marketing strategies. Like we don't have to mess with the game, like because you're trying to make the product into something different. Like, how about you actually tweak your marketing strategies and like start there? But anyway, let's get into what you asked. So I hate it as well. Like I like the creative thought. I like thinking about because that's trickled down into college ball, a little bit into high school ball. Like we're thinking about not necessarily anything like extreme. Like in high school, we don't necessarily have the data to go with like exactly where we're putting somebody, but we're thinking about like, oh, like let's move this guy back a little bit, or we're, maybe contemplating an outfielder at times, that kind of thing. So I hate that. I like thinking creative. Just kind of putting a kibosh on that is kind of something I'm not going to be super jazzed on. Devil's advocate to that, I don't know football at all. I didn't play football. I mean, I watch it, but it kind of on the level of just being like, oh, that play looked awesome. That's kind of the like knowledge level I'm at. But having said that, like football does have some rules, right? Where like you could kind of say it's sort of similar, where it's, I don't know, some of the stuff about like how many people can be on the line, and what some of that like scheme stuff looks like, to where, you know, it's a little bit inhibiting what, or a lot inhibiting maybe, like to the football coach as to what they can do. So I would maybe compare it a little bit to that. Like I would assume football at some point is, some of that has probably evolved over time and has probably gotten a little bit of pushback. So that's my devil's advocate side, but quick answer, hate it. Let us be creative. I love the, even what's trickled down into lower levels, and now that's going to be like probably something that's pushed away. So nope.
DJ, Josh, don't you guys think that the shift has contributed to the launch angle people? And that's why we have people like Joey Gallo, who either hits a home run or strikes out, because it takes away, you know, trying to slap for a single or a double. It takes it completely away. And if I'm not mistaken, you can still have infielders shifted one way or the other, if I read the rule right, but they have to have a foot in the infield.
Yeah. So, well, actually, sorry to jump here. So
No.
my notes are scattered. So one of the things is like you have to have both feet on the dirt, which that in and of itself bugs me a little bit, because even if we were going to say like we want two players, you know, we want 2 and 2, which I guess sure still gives you a little bit of room to do a little bit of movement, but like for Pete's sake, you got second basemen at all levels who, you know, not that everyone does it, but you got second basemen scattered at all levels who are, you know, have their feet back on the grass, you know, at times. And so, I mean, not that few feet matters that much, but I just don't like where we're making this baseball field into do's and don'ts like that, you know.
My understanding is you have to have 2 on each side of the base, David. But if you want to bring a 5th infielder in, you can still do that. I heard that the other day too. It was like, if like at the end of games, sometimes they'll bring an outfielder in to be the 5th infielder. You can still do that. But once the pitch is thrown, 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, both feet in the dirt, is my understanding of what he's doing here with this. So yeah, I mean, I agree, Josh. Like, there's a lot to it that I don't really like. And you do make a good point, David. It does affect lefties a whole lot more than it does righties. That is 100% true, because they can get thrown out from the outfield pretty easily, and the righty will not get thrown out if you shift him. That's for sure. I just don't, you know, I don't feel like you should tell me where I should put my players and stick them, and so I don't really like that at all. I'm gonna give a few little guys of a few of our teammates thoughts on this one right here real quick too. Casey Davis just said adjust. That's all he said, which means as a hitter, learn how to hit it to the opposite field. And that's my argument against
DJ.
lefties. Hit the ball.
So here's my counter argument. I'll just throw the ball inside every time. I'll just throw it inside every single time. You can't hit it the other way. It's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, well, you could do that too, but you've got to adjust, man. You have to find ways of getting on. You have to adjust to what they're doing to you. You can do it, man. You got to learn how to hit. You really do. Rod Carew would have laughed at a shift. He would have hit the ball where they're not. Learn how to bunt. There's another thing. These guys stick 5 guys over on the right side of the infield. Nobody can lay a bunt down the third baseline. That's complete garbage right there. You're telling me that as a lefty, you can't bunt a ball down the third baseline? You're on every time. So there's a lot of ways.
Are you telling me you want to watch Juan Soto try to bunt down the third baseline every time?
I want to see. I
Nobody
want to see him
wants to
get
see
on
that.
base. I want to see any way he can do it. I want to see him beat the shit. Let me just tell you this too. This does not work a lot. I've seen the Cubs do the shift a lot, and it fails. You got guys out of position, not knowing where to go with the ball. You got guys fielding in awkward positions who can't throw it out. This does not work all the time, guys. This fails a lot. The shift fails a lot.
There's a reason.
So,
there's a reason batting
what?
averages dropped, DJ. There's a big reason batting averages have dropped.
Why have the righties batting averages dropped then?
Well, I think a lot of it
Better
has
pitching.
to do again with launch angle and that kind of stuff. And so instead of trying to hit into the shift, people have said, okay, we'll just trade it for home runs. And then, like to Casey's point, they did adjust. And so it's home run or bust. The Yankees there at one point, I've been watching the game. Yankees are up 7-4, by the way, in case anybody cares. But I think the score was 3-3, and all 6 runs were scored on home runs. And it's because that's what the shift has created. We can't hit doubles anymore. So,
But okay, I got to jump back in because I had one here I missed. So we're at it. I think we can all agree, like, we like the finer points, like we don't just love bombs, like so on and so forth, right? But if MLB, two-part here. So MLB wants games to move faster, right? Like they want outs to happen, at a pretty good clip, right? So we're saying outs are happening faster than we want. Okay. The other thing is, so I feel like we're contradicting ourselves here with why we would do this. And then the other thing is that we, you go to a game, what does everybody get jazzed up about when you're sitting, 50 rows back is the bomb, right? So we got all these bombs, like crazy amount of bombs, right? So we're complaining about the shift is getting these people out too quick, or they got to hit a bomb. Well, we like the bomb, or MLB likes the quick out. Don't they like what we've created here? We've got bombs and we've got outs.
Right.
So why are we saying like we're going to have these rules where we're trying to make the game go faster, and one of our big things is something that isn't actually going to make it go faster, and it's going to take away some of the reward of these bomb guys and kind of bring in a little bit more. It seems counterproductive.
I think they're trying to make the game more interesting. It's boring right now.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's boring. Strikeout, it's strikeout or home run. We got a guy, Joey Gallo, who's been in the league for 2 years, hitting 160. 160, and he's been in the league 2 years. That's terrible, man.
I will say this. From what I like is from the training side of things, like the baseball training side of things, right? Like we're trying to pitch balls faster and faster, and we're trying to hit balls harder and harder. Balls are getting pitched faster and faster, and balls are getting hit harder and harder. So I mean, I feel like to the, and we're all coaches. I'm not saying you guys aren't into that, but like, I feel like we're at a kind of an exciting point when you're seeing that executed, and you're seeing just if, to me, shallow fan, or me a lot of the time, and shallow sure, is like if I go to a game, I'm pumped up if there are a lot of dingers, and I'm pumped up if I saw a bunch of crazy numbers flash up their 3 digits on the miles per hour screen in the in the corner. We're getting hit on both of those like crazy right now. So I don't know. I kind of don't mind that thing monster we've created right now.
David,
if you're into the the mush balls and all that stuff that are involved with getting there.
Oh, David, you kill me. So
am I upsetting people right now?
No.
You guys still want me here?
I think I like it. David doesn't know what he's talking about here, but Steven Shelton might kind of agree with you a little bit, David. Here's what he had to say. I'm mixed on this. I understand as long as you have 7 behind the pitcher, it doesn't matter as long as they are all in play. But if defensively I can play anywhere, why can't I stand anywhere I want to hit? Why do I have to stand in the box? Why not closer or farther away? Why is the hitter restricted and defense is not? Remember, they said the defense can play anywhere within the infield as long as they have 2 on both sides of second. So the shift can still occur, and they did not restrict the outfield. So the left fielder could come in and play the short field between second and first. On the other hand, I agree that hitters could have broken this themselves by hitting/bunting teams out of the shift. So he's kind of mixed on this, kind of saying everything we're saying about this from both angles there. So I don't know. Twin Jenkins, Jamie, this is the last one I got. Here's his thoughts on this. The shift would have been gone a long time ago if guys who got paid millions of dollars could do the easy task of bunting. The way Major League ball players bunt wouldn't even get them a scholarship to TTU. Love it. So, David, any last thoughts on this? I know it's coming really quick to us here in April.
People don't pay tickets to watch people bunt. That's what I'm gonna say.
Oh my gosh. Home runners. What do you want to see, David? What do you want to see?
Well,
What's
would
your
we
kind
be
of
talking
game?
about Tony Gwynn right now as a great hitter? If we had the shift, he'd have probably hit like 285 and been out of the league early. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, I just got dumber. Tony Gwynn would tell somebody, I'm going to put the ball down the left field line, and he would do it every time. I'm going to hit this ball up the middle. He would do it every time. He'd tell the catcher what he's going to do. That guy was so good. So I'm just getting Josh. This is what I have to deal with every week, Josh. You
Yeah.
see this?
Yeah.
All right,
It's
rule
uncomfortable.
number 2 of 4 here we got to go over. So as a pitcher, you try to pick off a guy first time. You try to pick off the guy the second time. The third time you go over to pick him off and you don't get him out, that is a balk. Now we are moving the runners to the next base. Yes or no, David?
No. I'm a pitcher, so there is a strategy to that. I understand why they're doing it. I don't think that even happens that often, so it just seems like making up rules, to be honest with you. So I'm against that one.
Josh, as you know, as a high school coach, if there's no need to put this rule in for high school, because if we try to throw over 3 times, it's going down the right field line every single time in high school ball.
Yeah, bad news. Bad
It
news.
doesn't. We can't put that sequence together 7 or 8 times like the big leaguers can without messing that up somehow. But I don't know. I don't think this makes any sense to me either. There are a few times where I've seen pitchers throw over and I'm like, what in the world's going on? But that doesn't really happen enough for me I think to make that change. So I'm against it as well. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, same idea here. Hate it. I was talking with a guy before we got on the air, a good buddy who played a long time Atlantic League where they've been guinea pigs with the same stuff. He kind of said what you just said right there. Is both of you guys kind of like fighting a battle that like wasn't really there to fight, right?
What's that happen once again?
But
Yeah.
yeah, and so to me, like I think, right, so I think as this sticks for a while, there's going to be analytics and stuff involved with like tendencies of like, say, when you get to like this tick on the clock, like are people like delivering a pitch or not? I feel like it just like opens this like kind of weird can of worms. Like baseball's supposed to be a sport where like the clock isn't, right? But I'm gonna go back to the broader like, why are we doing this TV viewership kind of thing? Is like, so of course MLB and the teams in MLB, they're getting their big bucks off of the TV stuff, right? So I get it, they got to make a buck here, but there's also that element where so much of the viewership right now, digital especially, is we're watching highlights, right? The kids, they're watching highlights, right?
Yeah.
And so at that point, like this stuff doesn't even matter. There's tuning in to watch like 7 seconds of 3 home runs and who won the game. So okay, so that when we go to the ballpark though, I feel like I was just a college football game last weekend, and like not all the stadiums are the same, but a lot of them are these big old huge things with bleachers in a lot of the cases and whatever. And you go to the college, and you guys I think commented in one of your last calls, like there's so many people at the big, the Power 5 college football games, right? And so you're packed in there like sardines, you're having a grand old time. It's fantastic. But you don't like go there to like eat dinner, right? Like you're packed in way too tight. There's too much like hooting and hollering, standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down. You're not going to leave the game, go stand in line, miss a play, whatever. Well, baseball, like the beauty of it, this game's just creeping along, right? And it's going on for 3.5 hours. You show up, you do go there to eat dinner, and you come and go, throughout the inning, do whatever to go get your food. And for that 3.5 hours, you're eating for an hour and a half of it, in the middle of the game. And that's just like kind of the culture of like being like at the ballpark as a baseball fan, right? The stadiums, you got enough elbow room, in most cases. And so it's a different animal. And so I feel like with this goal of we're going to try to get in and out in 2.5 hours, like, what are you talking about? Have you ever been to, Miller Park and Fan Field? Like, you came there, boys got their drink on for the first hour. They ate their, hour and a half, smorgasbord of food. Then they're getting, back to their drink on and all. Wait a second. That doesn't exist. What you guys just did, that part you guys just cut it off because you got this pitch clock and you're trying to do this ramp up the speed thing. So I think they're messing with the actual fan experience when we're talking about at the ballpark, but I know that's not always their first concern. So I just want to have a good time, guys.
It's a good take, man. I hear you there. So, David, the pitch clock. Let's see. They got 10 seconds. Let me see. That's 15 seconds if nobody on and 20 seconds if somebody's on, I believe.
I got no issue with the pitch clock.
I saw it happen in the minor leagues watching on the Marquee Network, the Cubs broadcast. They have minor league games on there a lot of times, and I saw it working. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence on this one still. I want to see how it goes, how it works. Don't really have a true opinion on this one yet. I do know that College World Series, those pitchers take like 40 seconds in between pitches, which I believe is absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know if this is going to go to college or not. Not right now, probably, but man, that gets pretty bad when you get down to the final 16 teams in the nation. They do take their time throwing a pitch. So I know there's a lot that goes into all the head case and all the pitch counts and all the things you're doing out there as coaches. And so I don't know. I'm on the fence on this one still. Don't really have a quite opinion yet. Josh?
Yeah, I was tying in clock with what I was saying before. Just the whole pitching side of speed up things. I don't necessarily love it. I mean, for Pete's sake, like most of your pitchers aren't leaving their defenders standing out there for that 40 seconds throughout the regular season anyway. Like, people want to keep moving, and so I feel like it's making something out of nothing and whatever.
Bigger bases, guys. So here's a couple thoughts I have on this. So the bigger bases, they're trying to counter a couple things here. So when we were kids, we saw Ricky Henderson, we saw Vince Coleman, guys like Tim Raines who are going up to the 100 stolen base marks pretty consistently for a while there. And when you watch old games like we did a lot in 2020 when they were on a ton, you see a lot of things that are really different about the old days of baseball up until the current days of baseball. And one of those things, David, is not everybody threw 99 miles an hour like they do now. So that ball is getting to the plate faster. The catchers have better arms and it's getting to second base faster. You've got athletic second basemen, shortstops who are putting on these crazy tags. Okay, so that's the biggest thing right there is the miles per hour from the pitcher to the catcher to the second baseman has stopped the running game tremendously. So moving the bases, making them a little bit bigger on each side does shorten the distance between first and second and third so that you can steal a little bit more bases. And it's also put there for the safety of the first baseman who, instead of putting that second bag on there for the runner to run to at first base, you've just expanded the bases a little bit so that both players can safely touch the base at first. These are the two things that are the reasons behind the bigger bases. Josh, what are your thoughts on this one?
Okay. First off, I did check this one with my Atlantic League guy. He said no one cared basically when they did it. But here's some thoughts. So yes. So on the base running side of things, like the main thing I think of is less to do with that minuscule difference as far as distance. I would say returns are, diving back into the bag, going to the back corner of the bag. You got a little bit more, you're a little bit further from the tag, so that I can see that mattering a little bit. But three thoughts here. For one, as a first baseman, I'm thinking here, like, yeah, I'm going to be, well, safety wise, but also just as far as reaching balls, like that's pretty exciting to have all that much. So while they're trying to help offense, I'm talking your defense. Like defensively, you got all your corners are even further apart as far as anchoring to those corners and reaching some balls. You've got more space as a middle infielder as far as turning double plays. Swiping that foot by is even easier. And then really, like, just like you'd say, you're bringing first and second closer. You're also, we know the ball moves faster than the runner. So when we're talking about the runner getting down the line to first base, we're putting that first baseman in his glove, his mitt, even closer to that ball that's coming across the diamond from the shortstop. So while we're maybe slightly helping the guy go from first to second, we are cutting down just a little bit of time as far as getting the ball to first base. So we're talking bang, bang stuff here. I heard this did not happen at all, or it wasn't necessarily brought up as an issue safety-wise in the Atlantic League test here, but my mind goes to, as a runner, so you slide in head first, you go over, especially on the turf fields that they're not necessarily on, but you go over that second base bag as a speed bump, right? And so when we're talking about the old, flatter, smaller second base bag, you just kind of go right over that thing. It's not that big a deal. That bag is pretty big. And so when I was looking at it, I'm thinking here, safety-wise, like, is somebody going to end up cracking a rib? Because now when they come in hard to second base, they slide over the speed bump. That speed bump is now a jumbo speed bump. Are we going to end up with, 3 guys a year busting a rib because they slid over the bag? It sounds like in a small sample size, nobody really talked about that. Put that in the back of your mind, file it. That old Moosey told you about that. Maybe we see that with people on the DL down in years to come, that like, oh, that's weird. Now we got people injuring themselves sliding into bags. Time will tell.
Very good. I love that take, man. David, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't really have an opinion on it, to be honest with you. I get both sides of it. I think it will cause more people to steal and that kind of thing, but it's also going to cause more throwovers. So, I think it's kind of ridiculous. You're limiting the throwovers there. You can, on the third time, if you're a runner, I'm definitely getting an extra step now because you're not going to throw over here. But anyway, other than that, that's a wait and see thing for me. The baseball guy in me doesn't like it. If somebody breaks Ricky Henderson's record, I'm gonna be bothered. But we'll see.
All right, David, keeping right at you, man. So we're gonna jump into the AL East. Start with your Yankees. Talk about the last couple weeks with the Yankees, my man.
Aaron Judge is the MVP. It's really not that close, guys. I'm just going to say it. If you've watched any baseball, if you've watched the Yankees play this year, he has literally, especially for the last 2 months, put the Yankees on his back and carried them. I don't know if it's true or not. I just read a thing on Twitter that said he's had the best statistic 2 months in baseball history. He hit number 56 and 57 tonight. 57 tied the game in the 8th inning.
Serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. People need to pay attention to this. He is having a historic season. As of right now, there's only 2 right-handed batters in AL history that's hit as many home runs as him: Hank Greenberg and Alex Rodriguez. This should be a runaway to MVP. I'm sorry to this Shohei Ohtani people. I understand what he's doing is historic as well. His team's in the basement, and Mike Trout's on his team. Do I have to say more? Aaron Judge is winning with his team on the DL, like literally the entire team on the DL, and they're still in first place. The Yankees have kind of turned it on a little bit here lately. They took 2 or 3 from the Rays this past week. They beat the Red Sox today. I believe they're 6.5 up, if I'm not mistaken. They're starting to get the reinforcements back. Toronto still scares me, but it looks like, they got a pretty good shot at winning the division.
Man, I was going to ask you if you thought he was going to break Maris's record, American League record, if he's got 57.
I think it's going to happen.
Wow. That's crazy. He hit 2 tonight. I did not hear that. So thanks for breaking that news.
Listen, I don't think Judge is going to win the Triple Crown, but it's going to be close. Right now, I think he's hitting 310. He's leading the league in intentional. He's Barry Bonds. This is Barry Bonds 2.0. I'm serious. except without the steroids. He's leading the league literally in every statistic that there is: runs created, intentional walks, and oh, by the way, he stole 16 bases and has been playing center field for 3/4 of the season. He's the MVP. It's not close.
Unreal, man. So yeah, he's led them to a 7-3 in their last 10 when they were feeling like they were falling out. And for a little while there, Tampa crawled within 4. They've pushed him back to 6.5, and Toronto is back to 6 now in the standings there. David, I'll tell you this, man. Your Yankees are coming back to life here, 86-56, back to 30 games above 500. Looking pretty well there. So Toronto, like you said, they scare you. Bo Bichette, boys, has been on fire. Let me tell you, man. Last night had the game-winning home run at the bottom of the 8th against the Rays. Absolute stud. He's on fire. And you got Vladdy Jr. out there hitting bombs left and right too. These guys are also 7-3 in their last 10 and have started to get some pitching we weren't sure about. Nasty closer on that team as well. They just they're putting it together, man. They beat the Rays again tonight, so they've jumped ahead of the Rays in the standings. The Rays are getting Wander Franco back, and we're 5-5 on the week. And man, Baltimore, David, 5 back in the wild card. They traded Trey Mancini. It cost them their season. So, David, overall, what are your thoughts on the AL East?
Yeah, I mean, it's been exciting. Watch out for Toronto. That's what I'm going to say. Watch out for Toronto. They're starting to peak at the right time. Part of me really wanted the Orioles to end up in the playoffs, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think it's hilarious that they traded their closer and probably their best hitter, and they continue to win, proving DJ wrong every day.
They're 5 back in the wild card, Josh. They traded their 2 best players, and they were 1
it
game
didn't
back in the
matter.
wild card. 1 game back of a playoff spot. They traded 2 of their best players, and now they're 5 back. Stupid. GM ruined their season. Unbelievable. My last thought on the AL East, David, is Xander going to stay with the Red Sox, yes or no?
No, the Red Sox are the dumbest franchise in baseball right now. They should have sold at the trade deadline. They're idiots. They have one of the highest payrolls in baseball, and they're in last place. I do not think Xander will stay. Although the shortstop market's going to be hot. I don't know who all is going to be looking for shortstops, but I would be very happy if he would come to New York and play. I have no idea what the Red Sox are doing. I thought about it tonight. Tommy Pham came up. He struck out, I think, 3 times against Garrett Cole. What in the world were they doing, DJ? We need to have a whole show on this.
We do.
They should have been selling that team off. You know, it was pretty obvious they didn't have the pitching to win, but they traded some guys and brought some guys back. It's nuts to me, but I don't think Xander will stay.
Wonder what Scotty's thinking right now about his boys in Boston. So, Josh, any thoughts on the AL East?
I got nothing.
I got nothing either, man, except for the fact that Roger Maris looks like he's going down for the American League home run record if he's got 57. And you know what? I read something this week too, David, is Aaron Judge in his private life stays pretty much out of the limelight. I don't know how he's doing it.
He's
Chasing
Derek
Maris.
Jeter 2.0, man. Derek Jeter 2.0.
Good way of putting it. Good way of putting it, because he's been very much avoiding all that stuff, and I don't know how he does it, but more power to him. Gonna be really cool to see if he can do it coming up here in the last couple weeks of the season. So moving on to the AL Central, David, Cleveland has taken a 3-game lead on the White Sox, who have had a nice little run here and have climbed back into it when we pretty much had them buried in the grave a couple weeks ago, David. The White Sox have reared their ugly heads back and are 73-69, 3 games back of Cleveland. Minnesota stands 5 back, had a 3-7 in their last 10. Not looking good for the Twins anymore, sitting at 500, 70-70. Before tonight, they were below 500, so they've at least got back on track to where they're at 500. Kansas City, 19 back, and then Detroit, who is in last place. I just heard something, an interesting fact on them, David. They have been shut out 21 times this season. And how stupid are they for having a ballpark with a 420-foot center field fence where hitters go to die, and they wonder why they have no offense. So Detroit is got to change that. They've got to make some moves as far as their field goes, move the dimensions to help themselves out. It's supposed to be home field advantage, and with an offense like they have, they need to make an adjustment there. A couple notes I wanted to say on the Central, David. A few things here. Number one, the White Sox starting to crawl back with the ghost of Elvis Andrus leading the way, man. Who would have thought? This guy's been on fire for the White Sox, David, and they've crawled back in a big way because of his leadership. Lance Lynn's been dominant on the mound, and Elvis Andrus has come out of nowhere after being released by the A's and is helping the White Sox come back in this thing. Whoever wins this division will make the playoffs. Nobody's going to make the wild card out of this division, with the White Sox sitting 6.5 out of the wild card spot. So they're all battling for the top spot here. Cleveland somehow keeps getting it done, and the White Sox are winning without Tony La Russa too. Miguel Cairo's taken over. They've really taken that and ran with it. One more note I had on the White Sox. This is something I saw in the 9th inning of a game that was tied 2-2. Andrew Vaughn got hit by a pitch and wanted to fight. How dumb are you? Do you think anybody's ever intentionally throwing at you in the 9th inning of a tie game? If you think that, you're dumb. Andrew Vaughn needs to work on his defense and not worry so much about things that don't matter. Getting on base is a good thing. Just thought that was really stupid. Can't believe sometimes, boys and their little egos get in the way and stuff like that happens. But that's just the dumbest thing I saw this week. So, David, what are your thoughts on the Central?
I'm super excited to see the Indians in the playoffs. I think that's what's going to happen. I read today they're the youngest team in baseball. Now that he's out of Boston, I love Terry Francona. Probably the best manager in baseball, for being honest about it. So I'm pulling for the Indians pretty hard.
And Josh, I just have one little thing to ask you about the American League Central. How bad do you hate the Chicago White Sox?
I mean, I feel bad for them.
Okay, I like that.
Just over the decades of needing fans in the stands, giving away tickets, all that stuff.
Yes.
A historic viewpoint is just I feel bad for them. Not sure I'm current.
I love it. That's good stuff, man. Thank you for dropping that in. Anytime we can razz on the White Sox, it's a great show. David, on to the AL West. The Houston Astros got a few things to talk about here. Listen, I'm sticking by my picks of Toronto and the Dodgers in the World Series, with the Dodgers winning. I'm not changing anything from that. The reason I'm not changing is because who manages the Houston Astros, David?
Hall of Famer Dusty Baker.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
He's totally going in the Hall of Fame.
Never won anything. Never won a World Series.
He's got more playoff appearances than the Cubs do in their history.
The Astros sit at 92-50, which is unbelievable. They are dominating the American League. They sit above the Yankees now. David Framber Valdez. Holy cow. He just tied a single season record with his 24th consecutive quality start. I watched him pitch at the end of the game last night. 9 shutout innings, complete game shutout. He's been absolutely dominant. Verlander, Framber, these guys are loaded 1-5. We talked about this last podcast, but Framber, man, he's making a run for Cy Young since Verlander's been hurt. There's a certain guy on the south side making some noise. I get it. Okay. But Framber, man, when you have 24 quality starts in a row, are you kidding me right now?
DJ, I think it's hilarious that suddenly you care about quality starts when Mark Burley's not in Chicago. I mean, the man literally threw 30 quality starts a year, and you said it didn't matter. Now suddenly, yep, we're worried about quality starts. Dylan Cease, I think, has a 1.30 ERA in his last 20 starts or something. This is easy.
Dylan Cease is a Cy Young?
Yes.
You're crazy. Over Verlander?
Yes.
I just got dumber again, Josh. This is what happens on a consistent basis.
I haven't even looked at the stats, but I'm just saying yes.
You brought up Mark Burley. I'm going to go camping with him next year, by the way. Him and his wife, me and Nicole are going to go, and a bunch of guys I work with. 3 guys I work with go camping with him every single year. So I think I'm going to join in on that and go fishing with Mark Burley next year on his boat, David. I'll send you a picture.
We've decided that you don't fish since you're grandparents owned a place and you never even mentioned it. And then number two, if you did meet Mark Burley, you would probably pee your pants and be afraid to talk to him.
And we'll have him on this podcast too. That's a prediction. I'm going to become his best friend, and then I'm going to hound him, and he'll probably
go
call the
back
cops on me.
and get all the clips of you dogging on him. When I was making his Hall of Fame case, I'm gonna go get the clips of you dogging. We'll see how that goes.
Oh wow, Dylan Cease is the Cy Young, unbelievable. So Seattle is 79-61, sitting on top of the wild card by a half a game. They are 12 back at Houston, so that division is pretty much wrapped up. But Seattle's looking good, David. I've been real impressed with them recently. They've been playing really well, 7-3 in their last 10. Texas has snuck back into third place, battling the Angels for third and fourth there. And then Oakland, should we just call them Jokeland? Not even close. Rough week for them as well, going 2-8 in the last 10. So overall, your thoughts on the Mariners, David, on what they've been doing over there in Seattle? Looks like the streak is finally over for playoffs. They have the longest drought of missing the playoffs at 21 years. Looks like that one's going to bed.
Yeah, I mean, the Mariners are fun to watch. Julio Rodriguez is obviously awesome. To be honest, I don't see them watching probably beat the Yankees in the playoffs, but I just don't see them going that far in the playoffs. I don't think the pitching's good enough.
Gotcha, man. Castillo and Robbie Ray may have something to say to that, but we'll see. You know,
I like Castillo.
Yeah.
Ray doesn't scare me quite as bad.
Understood, man. Pretty good team they're putting together there in Seattle. It'll be fun to watch them in the playoffs for the first time in a long time. On to the NL East, where the Cubs have just destroyed the Mets the last two games, which should tell you a little bit about their chances. 89-54, sitting at the top of the NL East. One game ahead of the Braves, who are 87-54. And this has become a huge battle for the division. The loser will get the first wild card, but obviously it's going to be such an advantage to win this division. So very exciting race coming down to the end here with the Philadelphia Phillies also in that division, sitting 2 games up in a wild card. You got 3 playoff teams in this division right now. It's been an awesome race for sure. And you got Miami and Washington sitting on the bottom. But man, the Mets, David, just being honest with you, the last couple of days watching their offense, very sus. Obviously, DeGrom is the man. Scherzer's been battling a ton of injuries, and the Cubs just rocked Chris Bassett. So I don't know, man. All those questions I've been talking about are kind of coming to fruition a little bit here. 4-6 in their last 10. You still a believer in the Mets, David?
Yes, I'm still a believer in the Mets. They handed it to the Braves, if I remember right, the last series as well, to help themselves get back over the hump. They got probably the best closer in baseball, or at least top 2 or 3. They got 2 of the probably top 10 starters in baseball. I'm still a Mets believer.
Man, the Braves are looking good. I just got to throw it in there. Still, I think the only team that can give the Dodgers a run is the Braves, in my opinion. Doing really well. And the Phillies, man, their aces have been aces this year, so they've stayed in the race and done a great job there in Philadelphia. And it's always good to see Phillies fans in the playoffs when they throw stuff at the other team and all that kind of stuff. Very classy organization. They have classy fans in Philadelphia. Be fun to see them in the playoffs as well. So the NL West, David, a couple notes here. 97-43. The Dodgers are the first team to clinch a playoff spot. They just did it the other night. Within a couple games of clinching the division, should happen tomorrow. 97-43, a .693 win percentage, which is unbelievable. 7-3 in their last 10. Starting to get even more healthy, which is scary. They're starting to get everybody back. Kershaw's back now. The one beef I kind of have, David, is you brought it up already. Joey Gallo is now hitting like 190 with the Dodgers and still finds a way in the lineup over Chris Taylor, which drives me nuts because you know how I feel about Chris Taylor. That guy needs to be in the lineup every single day. What's up?
Bromance.
The bromance is right. So he's got to be in there, no doubt. And if he's putting Gallo in over there, I'm going to be pretty angry about that. But the Dodgers are absolutely ridiculous. The only thing is Tony Gonsolin is still hurt. They got to get him back. Tyler Anderson's came out of nowhere, David. He's pitching lights out. Pitched 7 or 8 shutout innings last night. That guy is on fire as well. They're untouchable, man, right now. They don't look like anybody can come close to beating them. And it's been a great week for them as well. San Diego 77-64, still sitting in a tie for the wild card here, 5-5 in their last 10. Not really impressed with them, David. I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on the Padres?
Very weird. Very weird.
Very weird.
What's happened to Josh Hader?
Oof.
I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, he's converted his last couple appearances, but I actually think the Brewers look smart in that now. They dumped that salary, got some prospects, and Hader's been terrible. So it's just really strange. And Juan Soto's been awful too, by the way. So it's just really weird.
240 last time I checked, which is unheard of for him.
Yeah.
And Josh, I'm going to get your thoughts on a couple things here as we get to the Brewers for sure. As we move on to the National League Central, where guys, the Cardinals have pretty much taken this division over. It's definitely their division to lose, 7-3 in their last 10, 2-game winning streak, 83-58. A couple things to talk about here with the Cardinals. A lot of fun things to watch down the stretch here as they pretty much wrap the division up, but they got a couple things to watch out for. Number one, Albert Pujols passes A-Royd, your boy David. Always good we can get A-Royd in the show as much as we possibly can.
Yep.
Our condolences to J-Rod on a nice relationship there for a while. Sorry that ended for you. Pujols passes A-Royd 697. What a number. 3 away from being the 4th member of the 700 club. Now stands alone in 4th place by himself. Your thoughts on Pujols, David?
Yeah, it's amazing to me that, people that listen to this podcast, I've done a lot of making fun of Pujols the last couple years, but I'm telling you, man, the Cardinals are dangerous. They are dangerous because they're playing for something. They want to see Pujols and Wainwright and Yachty go out on top. They have a good mix of young players and veterans. They've got Arenado. They've got Goldschmidt. The Cardinals are dangerous. And Pujols, this has been fun to watch. Him kind of resurrect himself. I don't know how that's happened or how he's done that. He still can't run or field or do anything else that baseball requires, but he can hit lefties. That's what he's good at. So it's been fun to watch. I want to see him get to 700, and you better watch out for the Cardinals.
Paul Goldschmidt, can he win the Triple Crown, David? You said no to Judge, no to Goldschmidt as well. I
mean, Goldschmidt right now is not leading in anything. He's maybe RBIs. I think he's tied in RBIs. He's 2nd or 3rd in home runs. He's 2nd or 3rd in batting average. And I just got to throw this in there in my Judge MVP candidacy. Judge is 20 home runs ahead of Schwarber, who's in 2nd place. 20 home runs. That's how awesome he's been this year.
I love it. You need to have Casey and Stiltner watch this one because you've been all over this one. Love it. I love it. I'm with you, man. I would fight for him too, no doubt. Great season he's had. For sure there. And Goldschmidt, telling you what, he's the MVP there in the National League, no doubt. These guys are, I agree with you 100%. As bad as I hate to say it, the Cardinals are the team to beat in the National League Central for sure, and very scary to the Dodgers as well, with the Braves, in my opinion. So just a couple notes here on the one side. Jack Suwinski of the Pirates. David, I'm sure you saw him kind of came on. He's from Chicago Taft High School, so a local kid there has made the pros. 16 bombs, 28 ribbies on the season. Came out on fire this season, kind of fizzled out a little bit as the league has adjusted to him a little bit. But they got guys like him, O'Neal Cruz, and Brian Hayes to build around. So the Pirates are not completely dry, but they got to start spending some money, no doubt. So congratulations to Jack. Always cool to see the Chicago area high school kids making it to the show. Very awesome. Nothing to really say about the Reds. My notes on the Cubs this week, guys, just a few things. Did go to the game on Wednesday with Nicole. One of the things that's really cool is last year at the end of the season, they put in a Hall of Fame for the Cubs. There's about 56 players, announcers, executives, whatever, that are in the Hall of Fame for the Cubs. They now have a brick wall that has all their plaques on it. Got to see that for the first time since it's brand new in the left field bleachers. Also got to see the white sheet that was covering the 3 newest members, who are our awesome radio play-by-play guy, Pat Hughes, who you guys haven't seen Pat Hughes and heard him announce a game, you need to do that. One of the best in the business, no doubt, from the radio side. Jose Cardinal, he also made it, had a nice, awesome afro. I wish I could grow an afro right now. Had some hair, could do that. And then Buck O'Neil also made it, who just made the MLB Hall of Fame. He was a scout long time for the Cubs and actually discovered Ernie Banks. So we are forever thankful to him, obviously, for finding one of the greatest Cubs of all time. So those three made the Hall of Fame. Really cool to see the plaques. Got some pictures of that, and I got to see that. So that was really cool. And I was telling David last week, Josh, that the Cubs will sign Shohei Ohtani and Trey Turner in this offseason. And off we go to start winning the division for 10 consecutive years. So that's coming soon to a house near you. So
the problem
all right,
is it's going to be
Josh.
just like the Angels. They'll have two really great players, and the rest of the team will suck.
Yeah, okay. That's not gonna happen. We're gonna build really well around him. So David, any other thoughts in the National League Central?
No. Just like I said, I've kind of become a little bit of a closet Cardinals fan, if nothing else, just to get under DJ's skin. So I'm gonna have fun watching them. Hopefully in the playoffs.
All right, Josh. So let's turn it over to the Brewers talk here for a minute before we get into your career here. So a couple things I had about the Brewers I'll talk about, and then you can take over kind of your thought on the Brewers here this season. Traded Josh Hader. Everything fell apart. Clubhouse chemistry fell apart after that trade happened. Christian Yelich hit a 499-foot home run, guys. That was the fourth or fifth longest home run in the StatCast era, which was an absolute bomb. It was in Colorado, but is what it is. Almost 500 feet, which is crazy. But he struggled, Josh. He's got 12 home runs this year and a 261 batting average. So the guy is supposed to be the face of your franchise. Struggled a lot. So talk about the Brewers, and Josh, talk about how you became a fan.
All right. Certainly not the super fan, but I like to go to games. So, yeah, you mentioned a few things there. So, for one thing, that long bomb, I saw something where he was having, talking Yelich here. So he was having some a struggle. You got to understand, I had to do some research just to make sure I was ready for you. He was having some struggle. He decided to go to a toe tap. He realized after a little bit of a sample size that he actually still had the same on base percentage, or whatever he was looking at, and so the game that he hit that super long bomb was the day he decided to go back to picking his foot up. So it's kind of
wow.
it's I read that, so it sounded kind of cool that he just kind of unleashed on it a little bit. But I was looking at a thing a buddy sent me today, which was an ESPN article, and it was about how basically the Brewers, as far as clubhouse goes, are having just a grand old time. Kind of were down in the dumps, as far as not playing ping pong and doing all the fun stuff that they like to do when they're together as guys, and they have gotten back on that, and they're all pumped up about their shooting their quick shot basketball game and all that stuff. Somebody ruined the TV. I guess it was a pitcher. That's all they would say, and all that kind of stuff. And so they're pretty optimistic about where they're at on the field right now. I don't have no idea what they did tonight, but optimistic about the field, just kind of based on the field that they're starting to put together in the clubhouse. So, we all know that's of some value. I know they have a really tough road ahead for the rest of the season. You're pretty much listing off all these hot teams, and I think that's pretty much kind of who's who of what they got left. So that's not a great thing. As far as needing to gain a little bit of ground, plus they've lost their series, so they have lost their tiebreaker.
Good point.
With everybody in front of them, so that's not a great thing. You're talking about that Hader. I got like half info, but it sounded kind of funny on something. Is with that Hader trade. Apparently, not really a hot take here because it's half info, but basically, one of their prospects, or one of the guys that none of us could name as to who was in that deal with Hader, one of the kind of lesser guys that was in that deal, he had just as far as contracts go, he'd already established himself as a big leaguer. He'd been a big leaguer like 5 years in the past. And like I guess the Brewers didn't like pay attention to the contract details as well as they should have. And so they bring him in thinking they're going to send him to AAA, but he couldn't have been designated to AAA. He had to be a big leaguer. They didn't have room for him. So he was part of the Hader trade. Padres sent him over, and then they actually had to release him right after because they didn't have room for him, and they messed up the contract. They didn't pay attention to the contract details. I don't even know who that was, but I guess
Nelson
it was
Lamet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good call on
Colorado
that.
Rocky now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
Wow.
guy, it sounds like it was like a boneheaded move. As far as those in the biz know about that they screwed up the contract stuff with that. So anyway, funny little thing. Sounds like you guys pieced together what I didn't know. Brewers. I was telling you guys before we got on there, I pretty much pay attention to the Brewers when I go to the games. I got 3 little kids who are all 3 feet and below, and so my TV time is SpongeBob or stuff like that. And then if it's not on that, it's usually not on. So get in a few highlights here, and then if we start talking mid-major college baseball, that's my thing because I got ESPN Plus on my phone, but
I like it.
what I got.
I like it, man. That's good. And that's a good story on Lamet, David. I didn't know that. So it's even more funny that they messed that up.
Yeah, check it out. The guy telling me about it was well, he's a guy I keep referencing when I was trying to do a quick bit of research for you guys, the Atlantic League guy. And he was like, man, I got a funny story for you. And I told him I was going to talk Brewers. Just he's like, me and him and some minor league guys chuckle about how the Brewers did like a really stupid thing when it came to the actual like legalities of that trade. So
they actually, I don't know, it makes me shake my head even more that they messed that up. But I talk to David about this all the time. Lamet could get some nasty stuff, and if they could have pieced him together, maybe he's a 7th inning guy and could get you some outs there. I thought he definitely could have done that, and they totally blew that. So thanks for that info. That was really cool. I didn't know that. So, all right,
Yeah.
Josh, back into your high school days, man. Let's go to the Wayback Machine and talk about your high school career. Give me some things about where you went, how your team was, and how much fun you had in high school.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, it wasn't necessarily a glorious career. Like my parents started me in baseball and in t-ball and played all the way up. But my Christian school, we didn't have high school baseball, and so I played, all the levels as far as summer ball. Was playing junior legion, senior legion, all that stuff. So I was playing with the public school kids from a large public school. All the way up. But my Christian school, we did have enough players that we could have a team, and we were for sports in a conference that had baseball. And so at the end of high school, we did add a baseball program. It died pretty soon after I was gone, but so we did get to come together for that. It was kind of cool. I mean, it was very low level, playing low level teams, low level ourselves, just having not necessarily being an all-star by any means, but having, years of experience under my belt just kind of made me stand out with that, even though it wasn't. So there was, we're talking a no-hitter against a team that was like a prison school. We're talking, just stuff like that, right? And but I was pretty like I loved it. I loved it, by all means. And so my uncle was the head coach at a small Baptist school in Minnesota, and so I got that fly coming back, guys. I told you off there. I got a fly that's buzzing me. I'm gonna go like this, just hit it. So I got this uncle. He was a head coach when I was growing up in Minnesota. Did kind of practice with him a little bit when I was in high school, and just kind of my parents both went to that school. It's called Pillsbury College. I was gonna go that direction when I got done. Again, super low level college program. But then I really wanted to go for the gold and play, hopefully somewhere that was warm, maybe I had this thought in mind that I would go to Pillsbury and maybe get a little bit better, and then try to go somewhere. I don't know. I don't know what my dreams were. I'm sure none of them were realistic. And but anyway, see, there's that fly. You guys saw it on my cheek. So we went for a basketball. Well, it was like a school thing. Basically, I was playing basketball in Arizona at this Christian school thing right after high school graduation, after they had just said, like, on stage at graduation, how going to Pillsbury and um, this, that, and the other thing. Well, I'm like a week later, 2 weeks later, I'm in Arizona doing kind of this like final high school basketball tournament, and some Tennessee Temple people were there, and I knew of Tennessee Temple. It was probably, as far as like the handful of schools that would be on the radar of the Christian high school I went to, it was one of them, and it was an option as far as within the family. And so I started chit chatting. Coach Hall wasn't there, but I think Coach Scallions was there, and um, Haney, uh, Haney, I can't remember his first name, but he was like a recruiter in one of his, I think, many hats that he wore, and so they were all there. So I was sitting down with, like, sitting down at some point with them, and I was like, man, like, how fast do you got to throw to go there, and like, just, I don't know, just asking questions, interested. Well, they were coming to my basketball games that I was playing, even though I didn't want to be a basketball player. Like, they're just kind of showing me a little bit of attention. And and then we kept the conversation going throughout, I guess, the week that I was on site there. And then I went home. They went home. They must have told Coach Hall. So I got on his radar, even though it was real late in the game. And like a week later, my family, we took a trip to Chattanooga for like a quick vacation or whatever, to meet Coach Hall and go to the house and hang out with Robert and the fam, and had my name on that little whiteboard that was in
Oh
his
yeah.
office. Those were big, it was like the biggest moment of my career. Um, and the rest is history. He gave me a T-shirt, firm handshake. Um, they, you know, they made it. I wasn't like a big scholarship athlete like you guys. I think I got a little bit of money for like the curriculum my Christian school, like, I was like, oh, sweet, and made me feel wanted, and showed up. The trouble was brewing during most of the story was that I was having arm troubles that started when I was, especially 15 and 16. Like, I don't know what exactly. So basically, I grew up on a farm, and I had my own mound at my house, and I had my own like carpet set up on the side of the barn. I pitched a ton on my own, and I actually think I was in a pretty healthy spot at that point. And at that, we're talking like everything from small up through like 14 years old. I think I had kind of a rubber arm at that point, but then something around like 15, I feel like that summer I pitched quite a bit, and I probably hadn't spent as much time at the barn. And I don't know, kind of look back in hindsight, like as a coach now, and I wonder like what exactly happened, kind of where did I kind of create that injury or whatever. And it held on with me for, basically throughout high school, to where the pitching, started falling off, except for the Christian school stuff where I got by on it. Um, and by the time I was at Tennessee Temple, I was coming up with funky ways that I was going to throw to try to make it hurt less. And just, I'd show up and be like, I'm going to try to like just drop lower and lower, even though I hadn't, trained my arm to do that, and so on. So I was at practice every day, just in a whole bunch of pain. And I was telling you guys before we were on there, I was kind of just like a fall ball, like a fall ball guy. By the time the spring came, I was hurt anyway. Um, so yeah, basically, I don't necessarily share a whole bunch of stories with you guys younger younger cat that I am, I was kind of a free spirit. So maybe did a few funny things that got me on the map a little bit more amongst the gang. But playing wise, I don't have much for stats that probably made it out there. I did like academically, I, I was a horrible student. I just didn't really have the makeup for it. Did get a degree and did some master's studies and stuff as an older adult, but when I was at that age, just real immature, not really, it's kind of a late bloomer, I'd say. And and so some of the guys pulled me aside. Dave, I don't know if you're there, it's probably the year after. Um, but they're like, hey, because I started coaching when I was in high school. Like when I go home in the summer, um, like from college stuff, I was more into the coaching side than playing summer ball. And so guys were like, "Hey," distinctly this group that pulled me aside were like, you could not like finish school and still do like coaching stuff, like like telling me this as a student, and I'm like, well, like that actually is really tempting. And Ben Foster, like we were roommates, good friends, still are, not roommates, but still good friends. And so we had all these dreams about our academy and our traveling camp stuff and just all this stuff that we were going to do. And so I'm like, okay, I can rock and roll this without graduating. So I didn't show up um, back for junior year. And that's kind of when all the coaching stuff did begin. So that's a good part of the story. Um, I'm just going breezing right through here. Is this good?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I went all the way high school. Okay, is this how it
Go
goes?
for it.
So yeah, so after that, after I left, I did start coaching. Kind of a memorable. It was not super long, but it was a memorable time. I was at a prep school in Virginia, in Lynchburg. So I was like basically I was college age, right? Because I should have been in school. I lived with college kids. Everybody thought I was a Liberty student, but I was actually a coach over at a prep school. And people again, kind of like how everybody knew me at Temple as Moose, and they didn't know my real name till they know me for a long time. A lot of people in Virginia, they thought I was a Liberty student until they'd known me for like, you know, a long time. They'd be like, wait, you don't actually go to class? And I'd be like, no, I go to the prep school down the like down the street. Actually, I have a login to be in the computer lab and just, you know, I hang out with you guys, but no, I don't do anything. And but I was just like full on like just in the game, studying the game, watching. I hung out I was pretty much at a ballpark either as a coach or I was just sitting there watching and thinking and just kind of being a student of the finer points, the deeper end. And then from there, I've coached a number of random teams. I've moved to back to be by Ben a couple different times where we had different ideas on how we're going to execute our grand plan of baseball training. At this point, he's an electrician. I'm certainly not doing a traveling camp anymore. So I think we both shut that door a long time ago. But I did keep that one alive for probably about 5 years then to follow. A little bit of bouncing down that way. Lived with Ryan Coffey one of the times I bounced down there for a couple of weeks at least until I realized that our hopes and dreams probably weren't happening. Um, and yeah, coached a number of teams. I coached the high school here in town the last 4 years. I'm done now, but was doing that one. So I've coached, I don't know, probably a real good handful of variety of teams. Memorable one, I don't know. I had a great time when I was like the kid who should have been in college, like age wise. But I was like, no, like baseball's my school right now. Um, and that's kind of my memorable coaching moment where I'd say I picked up a lot of this stuff. But I have a great time here in the Wisconsin kind of coaching world, just connecting with guys. I love coaches, I love players, love just kind of studying. I know DJ is we've compared some notes. I get pretty active with going to association stuff, national and state, and just kind of thinking about all the science and methods and watching all the, practice videos from colleges and just kind of thinking about why people do what they do. And And yeah, so that's all I got here.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's great career, no doubt. What would talk about just one more thing here? So, what were your main positions? I know you talked a lot about pitching, but when the pitching kind of went by the wayside, what was your main
Yeah,
focus as far as
first base. So first base. So I'm a lefty, and I've always, for the better part of my life, been a thicker kid, right? And so, you don't put the lefty. He's either pitching or he's going to first base or he's going to outfield. Well, I was never the outfield build, so put me at first base from the time I was, probably in t-ball, and that worked out. I mean, I feel like that was probably my strong point. Some of the guys were helping me out at school, at Temple, with hitting, and I started to like get maybe a little bit of power with my body, but I never actually got that bats just because of a lot of reason. Just wasn't quite there.
Awesome, man. Well, David, you got anything to add?
Nope, just Moose. You were a part of some of the funnest times. I always want to remember the time you ate, I believe it was shrimp or clams or something, and your lip blew up literally. I still, when I think about it, it gives me the giggles, man. It was the biggest lip I've ever seen. And me and Josh kind of had a thing going. I got hit in the face with a probably an 80-mile-an-hour fastball, and so he was the lip and I was the schnoz, but that's still one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, Dave, how's that schnoz? So yeah, every time we pass each other, whether it was related to baseball activities or just on the street corner, Dave, how's the schnoz? Moose, how's the lip? See, the lip. So we don't actually know what it was. So as I recall, me and a few guys, I feel like Brad was there. I mostly just remember Brad. I think Matt Locklear was there, and maybe one more guy, Chad Verant. We went to this volleyball game at Tennessee Wesleyan. Everything was fine. We stopped for some fast food on the way home. I was picking my brain knowing we were going to talk about this. I feel like it was a Wendy's, but I could be wrong. And I just ate something cheap. I don't know what it was. It wasn't shrimp. And I'm sitting in the back seat. We're trying to, we're cruising back to Chattanooga, and my top lip was just a growing until like Brad, I was probably like, what in the world's going on with you, Moose? And I'm like, I got no idea. Well, then it never did figure that out. Well, then maybe a month later or something in the dorms, again, no idea what it was, but it swells up again. And so at that point, like Dave is on it. He probably saw that time it did it. Well, then honestly, as life has gone on, it's only happened like 4 times. And the 2 biggest times were those 2 times, that first time and that second time on campus. It was pretty
You never
big.
got to see it.
No.
DJ,
No,
I'm not exaggerating. It was up to his nose. Like his lip was literally like.
It was probably like, honestly, in hindsight, it was probably dangerous. Like,
probably so.
I'm sure I didn't take anything for it. I'm sure we were just like, oh man, this is hilarious. But as I recall, and I tell you guys, I was kind of thinking about like finding some silly putty or something to like pack in my lip tonight, so you guys could think I had the trouble again. I still don't know what it is, because if it's I don't really eat fishy stuff, so I don't know. And then, but as you were talking, because you guys are impressive here, you know so much about what's going on, and I feel like Dave, your training grounds for this really was whatever that video game software fake fantasy thing was you played, where it was all these fake players, like male, female, made up names, and you spent hundreds of hours like staring at this screen, like working your lineup, I don't know, making trades, being the GM of this team called like the Toledo Mustangs or something. And you like whatever that was, I feel like that is what got you to this point, which is impressive.
You need to go check
Um,
out Baseball Mogul. They've updated it. It's all MLB players now. Have
It's
you
still
played
out
it,
there.
DJ?
No, but I've seen you play it on road trips a lot.
Yeah. It's a great game.
Well, I definitely remember that because I had no idea what. I mean, at that point, you think the internet hadn't really blossomed yet. So fantasy like sports probably existed, but like
Just started.
barely, like certainly not what they are now, right? And
Right.
so you were doing this at that point. What you were doing on there was like, I don't understand. He's just sitting around. I mean, it is kind of funny to think about that they were fake and you'd spend a lot of time, but I can see you were sharpening your craft. But
That's right. That's
um,
right.
yeah, good old times. Yeah, I mean, we had a good time, around doing the free spirited college stuff. Maybe doing a little bit of, singing or whatever. I think it was honestly the year like after you guys where there was this massive party. I won't say its name because it wasn't
Oh
horrible, but
no,
it's not the cleanest
that was
name.
my senior year.
Okay, you're there. And so like
It involved a
like
breakfast.
yeah, so like DJ, you know about this? I don't think you were there. So it would have been when you weren't there. So um I don't know. I don't remember. I feel like Bill and Tim, like Bill Brinley,
Yes.
Tim Adams, I
Bill
feel like
Brinley
they
was
were the
definitely
heart of
involved.
it. And so they
He was
made
like, yes.
this party where they had organized to where it was all on one floor. It was like on third floor of the dormitory. In the different rooms, like people had like, you know, cooking tools to where like one of them, like it was basically, like it had food. It had live music where they had set up, I believe, even with some risers, like an actual stage, and someone who, played some rockin' music was up there. When leadership came to check on the situation, I feel like Coach Scallions, correct me if I'm
Oh yeah,
wrong, got body passed down the hallway,
he did.
and like the whole thing had to get like broken up where we had to be like, I'm not saying they were like shooting out pepper spray, but it was like you all need to go back to your individual rooms and like break this thing up. We heard later that
Body
some
pass.
yeah, oh
They
yeah,
were
it
passing
happened.
him
For
around
real.
Yep, and some like
like a
teacher who
mosh
lived,
pit, moving them like a
yeah,
mosh pit.
yeah, yeah, and it was nuts. And of course, like a completely sober situation, which just makes it all the funnier because it had all the makings for just a wild party, and yet it was just hundreds of bored young men who created this just very basic party, but had a great time with it. So I
Oh
don't
my
know,
gosh.
memories like that. I just pulled that one out of left field.
That's fantastic, man. That's awesome. Well, Josh, this has been a lot of fun, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It's a great time having you. It's been a long time coming. So definitely thanks for dropping in and talking some baseball tonight with us. We had a lot of fun. So everybody make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. David, I hope your Yankees have an 0-10 next 10 games, everybody.
Not going to happen, DJ. They're back. They're coming back now.
All right, everybody have a great night. Talk to you later.
See you.
Thanks, guys.